Holy cow, what happened?
Get it all the way, I-9, all the way over.
Oh, the hurdle already.
The wall. Give me Jimmy.
We're watching the radar here, and it unfortunately looks like another band of light to moderate rain.
The Daytona 500 is now shifting from noon until 7 p.m.
We're going to run the Daytona 500 in prime time.
She's going to be a wild one. We're going to see some sparks fly.
They're wrecking in front of us. Check up, check up.
Something massively broken.
Holy.
That's a pretty big fire.
Pan left, pan left.
Holy smack.
Are we going to finish it? Who's the winner?
Could Dave Blaney go to victory lane?
For the first time probably in Daytona 500 history, Brad tweeted a picture.
That was a tweet heard around the NASCAR world.
Forget about the gauges and put the pedal to the metal.
Oh, another wreck through the tri-oval.
You don't know everything that's going to come at you yet.
They call it the Great American Race. I call it the Great Unpredictable Race.
Flagman, drop the white flag.
Here they come off turn 4 for the final time.
It'll be settled among these three drivers.
Side by side with Kenseth. Juan Pablo has hit one of the jet dryers.
You got it!
Kowicki winning the championship.
Eddie wins his 200th victory.
Teams have been working hard for the last several months preparing for this day as we start off a brand new season.
It's the opening kickoff and the Super Bowl all rolled into one day.
And believe it or not, there's another race going on.
Thank you, Brian.
The Daytona 500 is the biggest race on the NASCAR schedule. For more than 50 years, the race has been the site of many of the sport's most iconic moments.
The Daytona 500 always has something that you remember. Something will happen at Daytona every year.
We have about 750 yards to go.
And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison.
Side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag. Harvick.
They're wrecking everywhere. Boyer's on fire.
An already wild weekend of action foreshadowed what would be the most bizarre Daytona 500 to date.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, hard in the wall.
The whole weekend was crazy.
Around goes Johnny Sauter. John King got in the back of him, and Sauter goes into the wall as they come to the start-finish line.
Leading the field to the green flag on Saturday at Daytona will be Danica Patrick.
A squeeze to the outside wall. Trouble in the corner. Hard, vicious crash. Who gets through to win the race? James Butcher.
There was probably 25% added talk around that race.
Danica Patrick is a superstar driver and a celebrity name.
She has been under a microscope every move that she makes.
And today is her first race in the Cup Series.
My suggestion was to start with Daytona. There's going to be a lot of buzz around my first Cup race. What better place to start than Daytona, and what better way to kick off the year? Especially when it's my first ever Sprint Cup race. So I had no problem and definitely thought, man, if you can turn some laps out on the track, then you just do it.
The other big story of the weekend was the weather. Rain set in early Sunday morning, putting the start of the race in jeopardy.
Daytona is home to us, so Daytona, sometimes we can interpret it pretty quickly ourselves.
It was in the forecast. I think that we believed that the race was gonna get in.
3, 2, 1, roll silver and music.
We are
All roads lead to the Daytona 500. It's the biggest race of the year, and it's on Fox.
Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds, two-time Daytona 500 winning crew chief, high atop Daytona International Speedway, where we will call the race with DW later this afternoon. That's our goal, and the ceiling...
I had a pretty good feeling Sunday morning when I got up. No matter how much we wanted to see that race run on the scheduled date, that with the forecast, the radar, that more than likely we were never going to see a lap turned.
Daytona's long, as we all know. We're down there with media day. We roll through the shootout, qualifying, duel, more practice, and then we had a delay, which is a bummer because, you know, that time slot on Sunday is so key.
We had a large audience that tuned in, and there was some rain in Daytona that delayed the start of the race.
We all get excited for the race and when it's supposed to go off and get ready to go race and all that, and when it's delayed, it's not good for anybody.
Rain delays are so funny because you really kind of have to be ready all the time. But it's a long day for everyone, and especially production and TV, who has to fill the content for those hours. Whew, I feel bad for them.
And I want to know, too...
I'm going in the bus as soon as we're done.
When you need to go, you go, but I'm going to keep you as long as I can just for another couple more questions.
The one good thing about rain delays is it allows us inside the personalities of the drivers.
Is it true that Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the bus next door is going to babysit your kids?
I seriously doubt that, and I'm not sure that I would want them to.
Let's introduce the world to Isla Logano.
This is Isla, little English bulldog.
By having that time to interview them, it's away from the frantic pace of zoom, zoom, zoom.
Whenever we have a rain delay, it's actually usually some of our highest rated programming.
Speaking of sponsors, I know that judging of the weather, you're going to be out here working for quite a while.
The access that we get to the drivers...
Oh, finally!
...usually makes for pretty good television.
You look mad at us!
I'll show you my scar if you show me yours, okay? So mine, I'm actually going to show my pasty white legs, too. But see, there's mine right there.
I'm on my Sprint phone, tweeting, texting, ready to go, telling the fans it's time to go.
Let's go back to you, Johnny.
Daryl's going to say, oh boy, once he hears this. Danica's been watching the coverage here on Fox, and she now is a follower of Daryl on Twitter.
I got it.
You got it.
We were in rain fill mode for quite a while. We thought that one way or another there was going to be some spots where you could get it in.
The skies to the west toward Orlando are the lightest and brightest that they have been since 9 o'clock this morning.
We'll get this rain stopped soon, hopefully, and get on the racetrack. That's what we want to be doing today.
Give or take about 3 o'clock on Sunday, we started to realize it's likely not going to happen today. I started communicating with NASCAR about what the plan would be. It takes anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to dry the racetrack. But you start realizing 3 hours from now, starting the race at 6, starting the race at 7, starting to realize we're going to miss our window.
Fox is such a tremendous partner getting us going for the year. The Daytona 500 is equally important to them as it is to us.
Well, I got pretty wet running back and forth between race control. And it was directly face-to-face with Brian France and Mike Helton.
Sometimes you have a scenario facing you like we did that day where there wasn't much hope for it getting better anytime soon.
They had one big, what Ken Squire would call, frog swallow of a rainstorm.
We do weather meetings, and there was a group of us from the track. It looked like it was going to settle in and just set down on us for a day or two, and so we decided to make the call.
So we have postponed the event till noon tomorrow. I believe that's the first time in our history that we have postponed the event to run on Monday. The one thing you want to do if you're going to call the race is give fans enough time to plan for the next day. Here's a fan who showed up on Sunday, waited around for 5, 6, 7 hours for a race. We postponed it to the next day at noon.
It always just breaks my heart for those fans that's maybe their one big event of the year.
The one thing that people were concerned about, that we talked a lot about, is would the fans stay? And resoundingly, they said, yes, I'm going to stay.
Well, history was supposed to be made today when Danica Patrick started her first Daytona 500. Instead, for the first time in the history of the Daytona 500, it has been canceled for today. It will run at noon tomorrow.
Wow.
Wow, what a shocker.
You just never know what's going to happen in the Daytona 500. They call it the Great American Race. I call it the Great Unpredictable Race.
The effort to run the Daytona 500 is now shifting from noon until 7 p.m. this afternoon.
At daybreak, Monday's forecast seemed just as bleak as Sunday's deluge.
We're watching the radar here, and unfortunately, it looks like another band of light to moderate rain moving across the speedway here. This moisture just continues to move towards Daytona. We'll continue to watch the radar.
Plans to start the race at noon were soon washed down the drain.
Early Monday morning, it was obvious that midday wasn't going to be an option.
And everybody just sort of went, we must be done.
Weather was coming in. It wasn't going to stop raining. So we actually decided before the noon time, okay, let's pick the time we think we can get the race in.
We were in coordination as to, when we could get the race in, when they could get the race in, and, when would be the best time to put it on the air for television.
Fox actually came back to us with they said, well, as an option, here's what we can do. Based on the weather forecast, the effort to run the Daytona 500 is now shifting from noon until 7 p.m. this afternoon.
I thought it was a great decision for a lot of reasons. All we were going to do is sit there with more rain delay coverage, more jet dryers, and what a shame it would have been to have had the biggest race of the year going on during late morning, early afternoon when people were at work.
We decided, look, it gives us plenty of time to prepare and let the weather pass. It's the best thing for the fans to be able to plan to come back in prime time. There's really no back and forth as to what the economic impact is, what the ratings impact is. You're obviously moving programming out of prime time. House clearly still on the air. Alcatraz, I don't know how much longer it ran after that, and I don't know if the show producers blamed the Daytona 500.
There's so many things that we had to plan on. Guest services, security, traffic, the buses that we would need. If you're gonna have 100,000 plus fans come back for a rain-out race, you better have the resources to take care of them appropriately. And a lot of the volunteers and work groups would have to go back to their real job. So we took all of the corporate departments and divvied them up. Said, okay, who gets consumer marketing? Who gets sales? Design and development, you're gonna work for guest services.
While officials planned the logistics, attention turned to how fans would react to the unusual scheduling.
And actually, as it turned out, they were complimentary. The fact says, look, thank you. Instead of making us come and sit there all day long and wait for the weather to get better, you told us quickly.
Every cloud has a silver lining. What that big rain cloud did was give us all the energy to say, hey, we're going to run the Daytona 500 on a weeknight in prime time. We might have our largest audience ever. This 54th running of the 500 is bound to be NASCAR's biggest night ever.
It was kind of a relief when they finally just scheduled it for Monday night because you could kind of plan for it.
This could be one of the most awesome Daytona 500s ever because the sparks will fly under the lights.
Everybody thought they were making history. I mean, this is the biggest race of the season. And we're doing it in prime time on a Monday night, under the lights. The excitement was palpable.
The first ever running of the Great American Race on a Monday night.
Many of the stars of this sport have warned us that this could be one of the most awesome Daytona 500s ever because the sparks will fly under the lights.
It was amazing to see the amount of support that we had.
It made lemonade out of lemons to get the prime time and the weather cooperate, and then to see the number of fans come back was impressive.
It's a unique and exciting night. The first primetime Daytona 500 is about to start.
It just had a different feel to it. It kind of gave you that Monday night football feel a little bit.
I'd like to say hello to all the fans and thank you for sticking around to watch this race with us tonight. The crowd is awesome. It's fantastic. I hope everybody sitting at home enjoys the race tonight. Primetime Monday night. It's a good time to watch the Daytona 500.
It's very important for anybody, any sport to get off to a strong start, especially ours with our biggest race being the first one.
The oddness of being a Monday night race, it almost felt like an experiment that sort of worked. You kind of want to get the race going and see how it's going to shake out.
We'd waited around for 2 days to get this race in, so everybody was kind of bursting at the seams.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
When the command happened, and we said, we're actually going to run the Daytona 500 in prime time, under the lights, everybody knew that something special was happening.
All right, guys, let's have some fun tonight. Just remember, anything can happen, so no matter what happens early in this race, the end of it could give us lots of opportunity to catch up.
Heck yeah, buddy. Heck yeah, you have fun out there tonight.
All right, everybody, stay focused here. Got a long night. Annika, you be patient here, and let's try to finish this thing.
Be patient, I heard that.
All right, buddy, let's get this 2012 season started. Here we go.
tighten your seatbelt for 200 laps, 500 miles.
Let's go racing, boys and Danica!
Green flag, green flag.
We hoped it would only be the rainout we dealt with. Of course, history shows it was a lot more than that.
Slams to the outside. It's 5-time champion.
That's it, guys. We're in it. I need water. There's something wrong with the system.
Over 30 hours past its original start time, the Daytona 500 was finally underway.
Here they come up to full song now, onto the super stretch for the very first time of the evening.
Days of pent-up energy were set loose, and mayhem was ready to strike.
Oh, hard already. The wall.
What the
Slams to the outside. It's 5-time champion.
Oh, no. That's it, guys. We're in it.
That was not the way we wanted to start the year. I guess when the car came to a rest or a stop, I probably did the Daytona 2.6.
Keep an eye on Jimmy Johnson.
Ooh, he's got a little tap in the back end.
I believe that might have been Elliott Sadler, 33.
Elliott Sadler gave him just a little tap.
1 lap and 600 feet, and it's calamity.
Ready, I-48. Take I-48.
Kind of like getting ready to go on vacation. You've waited all summer long, and all of a sudden you got a flat tire when you get out of the driveway.
Right then, you knew it was going to be a wild night.
That's what you get when you let drivers sit around for 36 hours. We get all anxious.
You almost expect something like that. Everybody's so antsy and so ready to go and charged up.
You're wondering what's the course of the race? What kind of feel is it going to pick up? Is the rest of the race going to be this way, or did everyone just get their reality dose?
Steering call. I'm into the pits, obviously.
This is why qualifying is so important and running up front is so important, and I'm not a big fan of running around in the back, is that you get caught up in stuff.
I don't know what happened, man. I feel like I know he's mad as hell at me, and he just stopped.
That took 2 of our big stories right out of play. Jimmy Johnson, the most active winning champion, and Danica Patrick, who's a story worldwide, no matter what kind of car she hops into, and they're wrecked on the first lap. And we're all going, oh, that's interesting. What's the rest of the day going to be like?
Seriously, are we all kidding ourselves? We just sat around for 36 hours, and we wreck on lap 1. I mean, we've got to be the smartest people ever.
Wait around all day from Sunday to Monday and spent 60 or so laps in the garage after that. In fact, I think I sat in the car the entire time. It was an unfortunate start.
We tried to work on the car, tried to get it fixed, and then back to the motorhome, load up the family, get everybody kind of going in the right direction. Long week for a lot of nothing.
The race's momentum picked up with 24 lead changes by 13 different drivers.
Hamlin down to the bottom, picks up Menard as his drafting partner.
New leader, the 11.
The Daytona 500 has a new leader, Jeff Burton.
Everybody knows that 16 car, Greg Biffle, is bad fast.
New leader, the 20.
Regan Smith by inches.
New leader, the 17.
Tony Stewart goes to the point.
Martin Truex to the front.
You're going to get the halfway. You're going to get the halfway. You've got the halfway clear all around.
$200,000. Martin Truex Jr. leads the halfway lap of the Daytona 500.
The race developed a familiar rhythm. Drivers tried to put themselves in position to make the right moves at the right time.
We had a pretty fast car, but it's all about staying in the race, staying out of trouble. That's the plan in the first part of any restrictor plate race.
For some teams, trouble had nothing to do with collisions.
Picked up a small vibration. I think it's right rear. Feels like a blister or something.
I need water. I'm out of water. You need water.
There's something wrong with the system.
Didn't matter what the temperature was, it would just keep spitting water out. We got a caution and could come in and fill it back up with water, and then didn't have any problems with it the rest of the race. We had really fast speedway cars that year. I kind of knew what I wanted to do in them, kind of knew where I needed to go.
New leader, 17.
This race is scheduled for 200 laps. There are 53 to go, and they're racing like it's the last 10 laps. Juan Pablo Montoya has crashed and gone aflame.
I call it the tweet that was heard around the world.
As the race moved into its final laps, Juan Pablo Montoya's mechanical issues were getting worse.
Something is vibrating. There's something loose, like on the back of the car. I don't know.
Yeah, come to us, get 4 more tires ready, make sure it's nothing stupid like that.
Not tires. When I get on the gas, the rear squeezes like something's broken.
All right, copy. We'll just come into the pit stall and David will look at it.
Montoya knew that he was having a problem with his race car. That's the reason he was making multiple pit stops. What he was feeling in his race car, the mounting bracket on the cross member that holds the left trailer arm in place, it had started cracking.
Yeah, Juan, accelerate up and see how bad it is.
Oh yeah, something massively broken. If I try to accelerate, it just starts vibrating out of control every gear.
43 laps to go in Daytona. David Stremme and the little team that could make the 500. Something under the hood breaks. He slides up the racetrack.
Where was he going?
Put it out. Put it out.
Put it out, back straight away. I'll take him up to the high side of the racetrack, Brett. You go low. Spotter's taking a hold on the back. Let me get those jets out against the wall.
When the leaders pitted, Dave Blaney, a journeyman driver for underfunded Tommy Baldwin Racing, found himself at the head of the field.
That was going to be the last pit stop of the race. We were struggling kind of all day, tore my car up a little bit. It was our last chance to fix the car as good as we could for the last run, and so we stayed out.
Let's just stay out here, Ryan. Let's wait till 1 to go and see how many come in at the same time. That way the car behind us don't lead a lap for a point. So if we got damage, though, we got more time to fix it if we come. But you already looked at it, right? There's nothing serious. Yeah, as of right now, it should be good.
I don't think our strategy was even to stay out and lead that lap. It was just we didn't want to go in with everybody and take a chance of getting beat up more on pit road and getting everybody's way when we were going to sit there and fix it. But before we can get back to pit road, you know, boom.
Hey, we just broke and hit the safety truck. Oh!
What happened? Take 6.
You all right? You all right?
I got rescue coming.
Can we move or are we on the hook?
Take 2. Why now, Nelson? Show me.
He's got to try to get out of the car. He might be on fire. He's out of the car.
Display the red. Display the red.
They're going to red flag you here. Montoya just hit one of the safety trucks.
We got a little incident in turn 3 here.
An incident? What does that mean?
Oh, yeah. That's a big deal over there.
Given the fact that I came around turn 2 and saw flames down in turn 3, I kind of knew it wasn't a good one.
Well, the 42 was going down the backstretch and, like, spun out and slid sideways into the back of a jet dryer.
He hit the back of it? Put that in the list of things you don't see every day.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Copy on the holy.
I saw what I thought happened, and I had to ask myself, did I really see that?
Get around there, come on.
We were in commercial break when it happened. So you're not in kind of normal race coverage mode.
Now, under caution, Juan Pablo Montoya has crashed and gone aflame.
We didn't know what happened. We saw a flash of light.
Something has just happened with a jet dryer over there. It never dawned on us that a race car had hit it. We're under caution. How in the world did a race car hit the jet dryer?
It's intense for a few minutes until you know that everybody's okay, that you have done all you could do to keep anybody else from getting into harm's way.
And what I focused on was the fuel running down the racetrack.
Be careful, that's diesel running across the track back there. That's diesel fuel out of the jet dryer.
When the fuel started to leak out onto the track and it got really hot, there's not a fire now, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a fire.
And then it lit.
All that spilled jet fuel found something hot to ignite it. And this is a bizarre twist to this Daytona 500 down in turn number 3.
Oh my gosh.
And our replay just didn't have a good shot of what went on.
The live camera shot showed us only Montoya's car and the huge fireball.
Our best shot was a shot in turn 3 looking down the backstretch of that 42 car hitting that jet dryer.
Safety workers quickly on the scene.
The trauma part of it is to get the fire under control, and that took some challenges.
They better try to start putting that out because it's going to burn a hole in the track.
Got a bigger fire truck showing up to the scene right now. Not big enough.
We're flying out of there. I remember leaving, taking off, and I see this massive fire in turn 3. I saw the fireball. I knew it wasn't good.
It wasn't the fireball from the first hit. It's that second fireball when all the fuel went up.
A wall of fire leapt across the track. Safety crews attacked the blaze, trying everything to protect the pavement.
It looked like we were missing the flame and missing the tank. The reality is we're trying to keep the track surface cool because we knew at some point it would run out of fuel.
They've got to get that out because that fire could damage the racing surface.
That's what I was thinking. So you got all this jet fuel just pouring down the racetrack. And I'm thinking, it's going to eat the track up. It has to.
I never thought we'd see another lap of the Daytona 500.
The big question right now is what kind of shape is the racing surface in?
It was getting late. We'd been sitting around forever and ever and ever for so many hours waiting on to get that race.
The effort to contain the jet dryer inferno lasted the better part of an hour. The weight of the long weekend began to wear on the crews. But NASCAR was determined to finish the race.
Our fire rescue went out there and put out the fire. So the next thing I know, I've got the NASCAR officials, Joey, how long is it going to take to fix it? I don't know. We've never set the track on fire. We don't practice things like that.
Red flag with 40 laps to go. And the big question right now is what kind of shape is the racing surface in?
Mike Helton and I decided that I would, I got a police cruiser to take me around to the backstretch.
I believe there's some decision makers coming.
So I could communicate to him one-on-one over our cell phones, keep him abreast of everything that we had going on.
Okay, now how do we get back to racing, and is the racetrack raceable?
How do you get a heavy jet dryer off the banking, and it was on the high side? So you watched us lift it up off the high banking to the flat area, then we could go inspect the surface.
It was a lot like Deal or No Deal. If they lift that jet dryer up and that asphalt is completely melted, this race is over.
And looks like a little scrape or two there from dragging that trailer down off the banking. Now they've got to get the jet fuel dried up and get us in condition here to race.
And I think they, in their mind, were thinking, I don't think we can fix this. I was thinking we weren't going to fix this.
The cleanup was underway, but at the far end of the track, drivers were getting restless.
Good thing there's a deal on tar right now.
Yeah, this is obviously going to take a while. They should do something with this, I imagine. I mean, it's going to be a while. They're going to have to clean this stuff up. Do you think they could let us get out or, like, bring us back to pit road or something?
Drivers, get out of the car.
Well, I hadn't got out of my car on the back straightaway and talked to those drivers in the middle of a race since way back when I raced at Hickory Motor Speedway in the late models when we had to stop for funerals.
As they climbed from their cars, drivers set about finding ways to amuse themselves.
And all I was thinking about was, man, I hope I can get myself back into the car because I need someone to help me, like, get my Hans device strapped in and get in there and buckle everything.
Talking and whatever.
Rumor has it, I think the 18 driver back there may be in the porta-john somewhere. Nature calls.
There was a bathroom on the back straight.
Dad, you gotta go. I don't have to pee back up for that window net to fall down.
It was getting late. We'd been sitting around forever and ever and ever for so many hours waiting on to get that race started.
We're easily entertained, I guess, race car drivers.
Cleanup efforts dragged on. It seemed unlikely the race would be restarted.
As I'm seeing all this, I'm going, they're going through the motions. We're never going to get another lap of racing.
All I could think about was, are we going to finish it? Who's the winner? I didn't even know who was in the lead at this point.
We said, that's it. The race is over, and I think Dave Blaney was leading the race at the time.
Not convinced that Dave Blaney isn't going to win the Daytona 500.
Dave Blaney just stole the win in this Daytona 500.
They said the asphalt's toast.
Might win.
There are moments of great serendipity in this sport, and Dave Blaney leading the Daytona 500 at a moment when it might be ended was certainly one of them. He'd never had the star power that was suddenly shining upon him. And on Tommy Baldwin, a startup team owner, so it was a great moment to showcase.
Think Dave Blaney's ever had so many friends? they've all gathered at his car.
Everybody, you know, came by and said something.
I went up and talked to Blaney because he was actually the one who was leading, and I was like, man, if anybody could win this thing and we don't go back to racing and I don't get a chance to, it'd be cool to see him win it because he's one of the good guys of the sport.
The guy that spent the most time there was probably Dale Jr.
Dave Blaney was leading. That'd been a heck of a story.
I think he just wanted to see my reaction if they did call it off.
Do you feel like the damage is going to be too significant to be still competitive up at the front?
Well, no, it's been like that since lap 50. I can still hang in the pack just fine. If
they give me this race, what am I going to say? This is going to be the biggest asterisk in the history of auto racing besides this race.
In a race filled with historic firsts, there was yet another novelty poised to grab the headlines.
We have every driver that we're watching, every team member, every journalist that's at the track, and this tweet came up. We're like, holy crap, where did that come from? It's actually a photo from the dash of Keselowski's car. And we thought, this is absolutely, unbelievable.
Sure enough, I had my phone on my car, and I was stuck on the back stretch because of the jet dryer explosion. Nothing to do but just sit for what seemed like forever, but I guess it was only about an hour. And thankfully, I had phone service to be able to have some fun.
I call it the tweet that was heard around the world.
The tweet heard around the NASCAR world.
The tweet launched NASCAR into the social media age. Keselowski gained over 140,000 new followers in a matter of minutes.
It was humorous at the moment for that to be a contributor to what all was going on, and it's something we just hadn't thought about, and it pops up, and there it is.
Certainly that was unique. That was the first and last time that'll ever happen, having his phone with him and doing all that stuff.
There's Brad Keselowski's tweeting again.
There were some pit reporters that we were trying to get over the wall because we figured, look, if he's tweeting, they're out of the car, they're talking. Well, let's go interview him.
So for the first time probably in Daytona 500 history, Brad, who has his iPhone inside his race car, he tweeted a picture. Master Twitter person back on the backstretch, what was the latest thing? Were you able to get close enough to see before NASCAR made you guys come back to see what the racetrack looked like?
No, not really, but I've seen a lot of cool pictures on my phone that nobody else has a phone, so they should get one so they know what's going on. But I'm having a good time, and it's great to talk to the fans. Thanks for following me on @Keselowski. It's been a blast.
Now they're watering down that fuel spill.
By golly, I couldn't believe the job that NASCAR did, the safety workers did, in cleaning up the track. They used one of my favorite products.
And now a new use for laundry detergent.
Tide's not an uncommon product for use at the racetrack to clean up oil spills.
Tide it's a great cleaner. I'm not just endorsing it because we use it on the racetrack. It's part of our maintenance program at tracks on a regular basis.
So a little water and a little detergent.
Garden spreader.
We're in the rinse cycle now.
So we're out there with laundry detergent trying to clean the racetrack to get it clean enough to put down a material called a street bond. In layman's terms, it's Scotch guard, basically. Put it over that area to see if it'll hold together. So I get on the phone with Bill Braniff, our track engineer. Where are we? What are we at? Don't know yet. He's out there touching the asphalt, kicking it. Seems like it might be okay.
What we do is we work till we can't work anymore. That's what's expected of us.
After a 2-hour delay, the moment of truth was at hand.
On all levels, I'm proud of the fact of how our team responded, and we actually got the track ready to go racing again.
We are now back under the yellow flag as the cars roll on the back straightaway.
That was our biggest fear, was could we restart the race, and would the pavement hold up to the pounding of those cars rolling off into the corner?
Couple guys saying the track's no good.
The first time we rolled through that area, it was like you went down a gravel road.
Holy crap, that's all gravel at that time, right through the middle of the track. They better look and see if it's coming up.
Of course, Tommy's wanting me to say on the radio that it's horrible.
Tell them it's no good, man.
Keep that car up front, and who knows what might happen.
We're going to stay out till they throw the green flag. Prayed that track would slide down into the infield, and it'd be over.
If it's 1 to go here, we got a pit.
10-4, 1 to go. We got a pit. That was 2 to go. This is 1 to go.
And the dreams of the front four may be dashed right here. They can't go the distance without fuel. Blaney, Castle, Rains, and Gilliland.
Well, I remember feeling like, oh, and I had to pull down pit road. It was like the lottery ticket that almost had that last number on it.
Who will win the Daytona 500?
Top 3 cars, nose to tail, Kenseth, Biffle, Earnhardt Jr.
What a wild 500 miles of excitement.
Midnight arrived, stretching the Daytona 500 into its 3rd day. Word of the bizarre events spread, and no one watching had any thoughts of calling it a night.
Because of the delay with Juan's crash, it bought a lot of time. Landed at Concord Airport in North Carolina and then drove 30 minutes to my house. Grabbed a shower, bite to eat, climbed in bed and watched the finish of the race. It was terrible, man. I'm laying in my bed watching the finish of, the biggest race of the year. So badly wanting to be out there and be a part of it.
I think they wanted to get back to green and give the fans a finish under green if they could.
Here comes 10, ready 10, take 10.
Who will win the Daytona 500?
Kenseth pulls out down on the low side of the racetrack, and he's being helped out by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Kenseth brings the field up the super stretch as they close in on the scene over here in turn number 3. Take I-9, take it.
190 miles an hour off into turn 3, through the speedy dry, cleanly.
Never even bobbled.
There was a little gravel down there, but it wasn't bad. It was the same for everybody. But it was okay. Just kind of had to watch where you're going.
Oh, Tony's going around, another wreck to the tri-oval. 6 or 7 more machines are involved.
Caution flag number 10 with 4 laps to go.
Hi, bud. Green, white checker.
NASCAR goes into their green-white checkered mode.
I do think it's only appropriate, based on everything that's happened to us this weekend, that we would go into overtime.
Here we go.
Here they come, coming up to speed.
Green flag. Biffle moves up to pick up his Ford teammate.
That is a teammate right there, buddy.
Those green-white checkers, it's just hard to predict at those speedways. Somebody could, lay back and really get a run on you. So I was kind of surprised Greg didn't get a bigger run than he did when him and Dale Jr. were together.
They're looking for the white flag this time. Flagman dropped the white flag. The white is in the air. Top 3 cars, nose to tail, Kenseth, Biffle, Earnhardt Jr. The timing of where you do it is so critical.
Here we go. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen pretty quick.
Ford Chevrolet off the final corner. Matt Kenseth trying to win it for the 2nd time.
It's going to be you. We're going to win the Daytona 500 again!
Matt Kenseth wins the Daytona 500.
He did it again!
For Roush Fenway Racing, their 25th Daytona 500 and their 2nd win.
To come here and run the whole 500 miles, do a green-white checker and all them restarts and have to get through that without getting beat, that definitely feels good.
It was a crazy race. A lot of exciting things happened.
The biggest job of every broadcaster in sports is to convince the viewer to tune in next week. That next week's show is going to be every bit as good as this one, and the race might even be better. But in order to do that, you need to have closure on today or tonight's or tomorrow morning's race. You need to get the viewer to the finish line.
What a wild, wild 500 miles of excitement.
I've never seen anything like it.
Every end of the event at a racetrack has a certain amount of relief to it. This one probably had an elevated amount of relief to it.
And then when you look at the entire day or 2 days, and you say, oh my gosh, look what we were able to do.
When people jumped out of the truck, we all said, look, we were a part of something special. And then immediately, you started thinking, let's do this again next year.
I'll never forget this experience. To know that I was in the middle of it, the team was in the middle of it, we got it done. That's the key. We waved the checkered flag, and Matt Kenseth got to walk away with the trophy.
It was one hot night.
25 years from now, 50 years from now, we're not going to be talking about Matt Kenseth winning the 2012 Daytona 500. We're probably going to be talking about Juan Pablo Montoya hitting a jet dryer and a jet dryer exploding.
Holy cow, what happened?
I can't remember who won, but we remember a jet dryer being hit and catching on fire, and we remember Brad's tweet on the backstretch.
You know, it was funny, we did the media tour after that. It was jet dryer blowing up, Danica's first Daytona 500, Keselowski's tweet, and they'd ask you about all those questions. They'd almost be done with the interview. They'd like, oh yeah, and you won, congratulations.
I think that will always be the race that Juan Montoya hit the jet dryer. An awful lot happened that day and the next night, but that singular moment will never happen again. That's what folks are going to remember.